processes, transverse processes, articular pillars. You want to get very, very good at that. When it comes to ribs, to find T12, yes, you could always start at lumbar and count up, start at pelvis and count up. Otherwise, you find your last rib. Well, we should do this in standing, so yeah, stand up.
Ribs. I had ribs for lunch.
Head down a little bit.
Chili.
Okay. Head up. You find the last ribs. Trace it back to the vertebrae, and then that should be which number? T12. So you could always just find that with the rib. You can go with the L4. That answers that. Good. Iliac crest and over is typically L4. And then you could count your way down, count your way up to compare. But that's how your guys are going to find T12 from the rib. Thoracic spinous processes, the thoracic spine. They're those hard things that are right down the middle of the spine. Got some right-sided stuff going on?
Nothing, I feel. I was really impressed with that.
That's good. A little bulky on the right side.
He only works out his right side.
Got to load up the left a little more. All right. Costovertebral, costosternal articulation. These are going to be more of a broad thing. We can't really get to the transverse processes. If you come over like an inch, you're going to feel a bunch of muscle bulk. If you swoop behind the muscle bulk, you can get into where the ribs come into the vertebrae. Take a nice deep breath in, and you should feel it under your finger expand, and you can go along those.
So is that like over, like under the paraspinal section?
Yes, the vertebrae will be deep to the paraspinal, so you make sure you sweep them out of the way. So spinous processes you could find. Here's his paraspinals. Swoop them out of the way as best you can, and then you should feel little articulations at each section. Technically the transverse processes are there, but you're also palpating the costovertebral articulations. So we're more broad when it comes to this area, we're less specific. All right, thoracic.
And if those were not, you would feel something, like that's why you're just checking bilaterally, because you would feel if something was not either connected, what would it feel like?
You're looking for an asymmetry, something to be twisted. So for him, like I said, what's going on your right side? I'm not looking at which segment. I'm looking at, I feel more prominence here than I do over here.
Okay.
Whether that's maybe just muscle, is his vertebrae in relation, is it rotated? I don't know any of that. All I know is he has a right-sided asymmetry, so it's more prominent compared to his left. That's all I know. Yeah. So in his case, he doesn't have pain. It may have nothing to do with anything he comes in to see me for. All I'm doing is taking note that I find muscle bulk here. That's it.
So the costal facet will sit deeper than the transverse process?
They're almost in line with each other because you're going to have the rib attached to. Go that way or this way, doesn't matter. Let's see. So front of the vertebrae, back of the vertebrae. So you're going to have the rib attached to 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So they're very close to each other. You're not going to hit one more than the other because there's way too much muscle in the way. So just know that it's easy to find this guy. And then when you go off to the side, you're looking at the mixture of transverse processes with the rib articulation. It doesn't have to be super specific. Technically, you could say that it would be the transverse processes, but you cannot say that I'm only going to affect the transverse process without affecting the costal joints. So that would be, I would say that you're going to be looking at the transverse processes first, but you can't touch one without affecting the other if you're going to put pressure on it. All right, so let's sit down again.
Back to that.
Yeah.